Good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? My name is Lee Love, and I am the host here for Photo Mentor TV. Great to have you here tonight or this afternoon, whenever you're watching. Again, tonight is the photo review night. We do this once a month on the first Tuesday of the month, and glad you're here. So we got a lot to cover tonight, and I'm going to kind of jump into it here in a minute. Again, if this is your first time here, just let you know that the purpose of this channel and also all the work we do here at Photo Mentor is to educate, encourage, and mentor you to see like an artist and to become more confident and more creative, quite frankly. So again, I mentioned before that tonight is photo review night. Got a few reviews, but also some other things we're going to be introducing you to. So the first thing I want to do is we had some questions. I want to answer those questions first, and then we'll get into the photo reviews. Okay, so the first question tonight is, what do you recommend as a rain policy or cancellation policy for, do you do a refund or reschedule, that kind of thing when you're doing a photo shoot for a client? Well, first of all, I think it depends. It's very independent and it's very specific. I think you need to work with the client first of all and find out what they want to do. But let me be clear about this. Our job as photographers is to solve problems. So it may be that you just have to shoot anyway. So I would suggest, number one, that you have a backup plan, and that if you know the weather is going to be iffy, then have a plan to move indoors or find another location. It doesn't have to always be outdoors. I mean, you can shoot anywhere, right? I mean, it's all in the lens use and the angle and the lighting. So you got to be creative. And so I would say that unless it's something very specific like a venue or a wedding or something that's going to be in a specific location and that's part of the story, then I would have a plan B to be able to do the shoot anyway, and solve the client's problems. So again, think about it. If it's a wedding and they were planning an outdoor wedding, then they're already going to have a plan to move this indoors if it rains, right? Well, you need to be able to do the same thing. So nothing wrong with that, and that would be my suggestion. So that's from Jennifer B. And Jennifer, hopefully that answers your question, and it gives you a little help in figuring out what to do. The next question is from Mohammed E. And Mohammed asked an interesting question. I don't usually take these kinds of questions because they're a lot of technical stuff, and it's not that I can't answer that or I don't have experience with all this, but that it's so varied, and it's just, there's just more to photography than that. But anyway, he asked a question about Zeiss lenses, and I actually happen to know a little about Zeiss lenses, and they are very, very nice. And the thing about Zeiss lenses, now here's what you're going to find people, and they say, what's the difference between Zeiss lenses or Leica lenses or things like that? And here's what I've found. Zeiss lenses and Leica lenses and some of the higher end glass, what you're paying for is not just the quality, but you have to understand, if you look into how glass is made, it's cured in a cylinder, and it takes months and months and months to cure this glass. They can't pop them out. I'm talking about electronics here. So that's one reason lenses are so expensive. Then they have to polish that glass and polish it. And if there's any imperfections, a bubble, or anything in that glass, they have to dump it. So that means then that's another reason why they're so expensive. So they have to be polished exactly right, perfectly. And the quality of the glass also has something to do with it. So what I've discovered with things like Zeiss glass and some of the higher end lenses are two things. Number one, of course, they're very sharp, but that's not the only characteristic. Many lenses have a unique characteristic to them. Some of them may not be perfectly sharp, but they have a look to them. So that's when a lot of video people like the older lenses, because they tend to have a unique look to them. But the thing I've noticed about the Zeiss lenses is that they're a little more contrast. They have a little more contrast to them, and the colors are much punchier than, let's say, the traditional lenses from a lot of the camera manufacturers. So that's the reason. So yes, they are the best, some of the best glass. But then the other question you have to ask yourself, Mohammed, is what are you going to use the lens for? So that has a lot to do with it. And there's different lenses have different characteristics. And so you kind of want to use that lens or pick a lens for a specific role that it's going to play. It's not just that every Zeiss lens is the best. It really depends on how you're going to use it. That's the short version. But they are really, really good glass, very contrasty, very punchy color, and you really can tell a difference when you see the images side by side, which is really unique. Okay, got a couple more of these. So this is from Liz P, and Liz P says, can you recommend an online course? Well, it so happens I can, but I'm not going to. I would suggest, number one, take a look at what we're doing at Photo Mentor Academy. Let's see here. And this, you might want to go and just sign up there, put your name in. We've got some stuff that we're going to be doing and announcing here shortly. In fact, I'm going to announce some of this stuff tonight. But that's not the reason I'm suggesting that you look at what we're doing. What I'm saying is it really depends on what you want a course to do. See, there's not, I was looking on, I got this question from a group that was, and it was typical. She asked this question, and everybody gave a big list of courses they recommend. Well, but not one single person asked the most important question, two questions. Number one, what is it you're going to photograph? What kind of stuff do you want to photograph? And number two, how are you, tell me about your photography. What kind of stuff are you doing? What do you want to accomplish? Because a course isn't going to teach you that. So for example, What if you wanted to be a product? What if she wanted to be a product photographer? Nobody asked that question. Well, the course you would recommend for a product photographer is going to be very different than one that's going to do automobile photography or sports photography or something else. So, as usual, people just they don't know how to answer a question. They just throw out an answer, and that doesn't apply to everything. That's like saying, "Oh, just go to YouTube, right? You can just learn everything you want on YouTube." Well, no, you can't. So anyway, it depends. First of all, I would look very strongly at evaluate your own photography, what you want to do, and then before you start looking at a course. So that's a part on that. It's frustrating. Okay, this is from Liz A. No relationship to Liz P, of course. What do you recommend for using to create a website for photography business? Is there a site that creates logos, has stock photos, has website templates, etc.? Well, Liz, there's a lot of great sites out there and a lot of templates you can use to get you going. One that you'll see a lot is Pixie is a very popular site. Another one that I like is called Squarespace. That's another one. There's a lot of good sites out there. But see, once again, it's not about the site. It's not about the templates. It really depends on you and your work and what you're trying to do. So, for example, any website would work. And I think you might, I'm not trying to be critical here, but what I think may be happening, Liz, is you're going about this backwards. So, in other words, you need to be looking at your work first, the kind of work, selection of your images, who your target audience is. What is your message? Who are you trying to reach? If you don't know that, then it doesn't matter what website you have or templates or logos or that kind of stuff. So, I don't know enough about your business to know this, but if you don't have that figured out first, then the other stuff is not going to help you because you're just going to it's just going to be a site. And you're going to have some photos on there, but nobody's going to know where it is, how to get to it, or even why they should be hiring you. So if you have more questions on this, I would suggest you email me at help@photomentor.tv, and I'd be glad to help you on that. Okay, so this one's from Nicole. And Nicole asked, this is one of my favorite ones. Everybody talks about watermarks, brands, and photos. How do you make one in Lightroom? Well, okay, first of all, I have a little bit of a pet peeve about watermarks. And the reason is most people use them incorrectly. So a watermark is great for branding your work, but it also depends on the kind of work you're doing. If you're a wedding photographer, then a portrait photography, then maybe a watermark might be appropriate. But the problem is a lot of people overdo it. They make them too large. They're ugly. They cover up the image. They detract from the image. And after all, isn't the image really the key? That's what you're trying to do. So I suggest, and I don't have an example here. I actually have created some. I haven't released them yet. Is a set of frames that are graphical frames, and you put your image in the frames, graphical images, and then you put your watermark on the frame or on the mat of the frame instead of putting it on the image. And it's more artistic, number one, and number two, it still gets your brand across, but it doesn't detract from the image. So that's the big thing, is the image is the most important part. The other thing is, if you look at any commercial photographer, well-known, they don't really watermark their work. I only see consumer kind of photographers do this. And the thing is, what I laugh at is they watermark like a sunset or a flower, one that I've seen 10,000 pictures of a day, and I don't understand why they're watermarking that, because it actually works against you. It's not that great of an image to begin with, and number two, it's so common. And number three, what's the purpose of the watermark? If it's branding, that's one thing, but it's certainly not going to protect you against a copyright infringement. And that's a whole nother discussion we can have. So anyway, so hopefully that helps you, Nicole, in answering your question. As far as watermark, and how to do it in Lightroom. You know, I did a video on this. I believe it is on the YouTube channel, which is should be. Let's see here. This should be it right here, I think. Whoops, it's not right. This should be on the YouTube channel, youtube.photomentor.tv. If you go there and look and do a search on watermark, you should see a example on there. If not, let me know, and I can help you with that. Okay, one more, I think, and then we'll get on to some of the review stuff. So, one question is, how do you get more followers on Facebook business page? Well, I laugh because that's one of the things I'm going to talk about tonight, and I think you'll just stay tuned. I think that'd be the best thing. But the thing is, here's the short answer, Courtney. Again, you have to figure out, number one, why Facebook. Is Facebook the right platform? Number two, who's your target audience? Who is it you're trying to reach? And number three, are you sure they're on Facebook? So it depends on what you're trying to do. I also am not a believer in building your business on a platform that you have no control over. I think it was Pam, I think, or was asking this question earlier. Sorry about this. Forgot. It was not Pam. Anyway, the one about the website. You want your own website. That's where you want to drive traffic to. You don't want to drive it to Facebook, because Facebook can change. They can come up with different terms of service. They can show your stuff. They can't show your stuff. So you have no control over it. So you could build up a Facebook page, and quite frankly, it'd be gone that quick for nothing you've done, but it just happens. So I would be very cautious. Now, if you're going to look at Facebook as a social media platform to market your business, that's a different story. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So stay tuned on that. And I think this is the last question. Yes, this was my favorite. Here we go. So I think it's, is it Velda? I think there's an L in there. Velda asks, winter's coming, days are getting shorter, and slowly getting colder. Sound like a poem here. Rainy season is coming. Photographers who don't own a photo studio, what do you plan to do when you get bad weather? Go out and shoot. I mean, this is the interesting thing about this question. It's a little bit like the other question, the second question we had about what do you do when for cancellations, and that is, a photographer's job is to solve a problem. If it rains, you have to have a backup. If it gets cold, you have to have a backup. It's not a fair weather job. It's not a fair weather thing to do. I mean, I assume by saying you're asking about a studio, that would mean you're doing this as a business, not just as a hobby. And therefore, you know, you need to be able to have a backup. You need to be able to have places you can move indoors if that's the problem, or you need to be able to shoot outdoors in inclement weather. Now, think about it. If you're a landscape photographer, these guys don't just only go out when it's nice and beautiful. At least my friend Frank never did. He was out in the cold and the rain and whatever, because that's what it took to get the shot. And so it's the same thing for you. You have to have a backup plan. If it's going to be cold or rainy or whatever, then you need to make a plan for that. And that means either moving indoors or have inclement weather or gear to be able to handle that. If you're a skier, you don't go out because it's not skiing, right? Or you don't go out because it's snowing. You dress appropriately for dressing up for skiing. It's the same thing if you're motorcycling or any outdoor activity. You dress appropriately. You plan for that. And so the best images are sometimes in inclement weather. So don't be afraid of going out when it's raining or cold or snowing. Just prepare for it. That's the real answer for that. Anyway, I hope that helped you guys a little bit. I know it's been a while since we've done some of these questions. I felt these were appropriate and ones that were coming up. Okay, so before I got one more thing, and then we're going to get into the reviews. We only have about 4 reviews tonight, so it's not too many because we haven't done this in a while, so it's not a big deal. Okay, we've got a lot of things going on. Now, if you're new here, there's a couple things I'd like you to do. Number one, I really would appreciate if you'd subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Click the bell or whenever everybody asks you this. But it does help the channel. It helps show YouTube that there's interest, and then it helps promote us. And so if it shows other people that might like this kind of content. So I appreciate if you do that, first of all. The other thing is, if you're looking for additional resources, we have a lot going on. And so there's a lot of things you can do. Number one, we have a great newsletter, and you can subscribe to the newsletter by going to photomentoracademy.com/newsletter. And this is something that Sue Ann does. She does a great job on it. Covers a lot of articles and things on the creative aspects of photography, not reviews, but different comments and things on interviews that I've done. And so if you want to get more information, I recommend you go to photomentoracademy.com/newsletter, sign up for that. And that's a great resource if you want to keep up on what's going on. The second thing is we also have a private Facebook group. Now, let me tell you up front, this group is not for everyone. It's for those that we're not interested in having people that are techno geeks or techno babble guys on here. This is a group for people that want to learn, to see like an artist, and to be more creative. You're going to find a great group of people in this group, though. And if you're interested, what you have to do is apply. You can't just join. You have to go in and fill a little bit of an application. Tell us a bit about yourself, what you're trying to improve on. But you go to Photo Mentor Academy/Facebook and fill that out. And then now, once you do that, I'll get an email. Let me know that you you're interested in the Facebook group. But then you also should be directed to Facebook group, and you have to hit the request to join. But what happens, quite frankly, is a lot of people, they go to the Facebook group, they request to join, but they don't fill out the application. It says right there in the rules, you have to fill out the application. In fact, we really have a field there for being sponsored by somebody. If you're not sponsored, you don't know who to be sponsored by, then you can put my name down there, put Lee Love as a sponsor, and then that'll. But the point is that this group may not be right for you. It's not like other groups. It's small. It's intentionally small because we have a lot of educational material in there, and it's intended to be more hands-on and be able to answer questions. Okay, so again, the Facebook group is something that you might be interested in. And if it is, you can go in there. The other thing is, obviously, we have a YouTube channel, which you're watching right now, hopefully. Or otherwise, you don't know I'm talking to you, and so therefore it doesn't matter. But there's a lot of information on there. I think we have almost 100 videos on there now. And I do interviews. I do discussions on technology. I'm not doing technical reviews. They're more about lighting and posing and things like that. So that would be a resource that I recommend you take a look at. And then the last one is once a week, although I'm behind this week, I also produce a game, which is learning to see. I call it Learn to See Like an Artist. It's kind of like a See the Difference game, where you have an image and you can compare the two images. And the idea is to teach you to really hone your eyesight and to look at things differently, not just look at on the surface, but to recognize things differently. So I recommend that you check that out as well. So you can get to that at photomentoracademy.com/game. So those are some resources I think you can use to get more information. I encourage you to check those out, and I think you'll find them very, very useful. We put a lot of hard work into it. Okay, one last thing, and then we're going to move on. Okay, so we've had a lot of requests from people that want to know, very much like the question that was asked before about Facebook. So our very own Sue Ann, who is just an amazing content creator and social media expert, has agreed to put together a course for photographers called Social Media Marketing for Photographers. So this is something that we're working on right now. We're creating she's creating the content right now. I've seen some of it. You guys are going to love it. But we're going to be doing a free webinar coming up. And the webinar is going to give you some insight about what the course is about. But I think in itself, you're going to be overwhelmed by the webinars. A lot of great information in there already I've seen. And so that's something you want to look into. She's going to be covering a whole bunch of different things. The three primary areas are going to be the principles of social media marketing, sort of like what is it, why do you want to be there, the platforms and the audiences. In other words, helping you determine which one you should be. Should you be on Instagram? Should you be on TikTok? Should you even be on Facebook? And then, of course, laying out a social media strategy for you. So this is going to be really good. I encourage you to check this out. Go over a lot of general information about educating you on social media, the things you need to know about. And also she's going to go on this, again, the nitty gritties of how to plan a social media strategy. This is what Sue Ann does. And she does this not just for me, but she does it for many, many other, well, for large companies as well. And I really encourage you to check this out. So what you want to do there is you want to go to, and I apologize, I didn't put the stupid URL in here. I ran out of time. So what you want to do is you want to go to Photo Mentor Academy, just like before, okay? But at the end, put /social media. photomentoracademy.com/social media. And fill that out. Just put your name and email in there. And then as soon as the webinar is ready to go, which should be very, very shortly, I'd say a week or two at the most. I'm the holdup, by the way. I take full responsibility. I'm lame, and Sue Ann will admit it. I'm holding her up. She's ready to go. It's all me. I just had too many things going on and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, but the point is, we will be doing this. We're going to do this webinar. And so sign up for that. You'll get a notice when the webinar is going to be and how to go in and watch the webinar. So again, photomentoracademy.com/social media. It's something you definitely want to be able to do. It's something you don't want to miss. It's going to be great. I know, because I know I work with Sue Ann all the time, and she is fantastic. So this is something you definitely want to check out. Okay. All right. So I apologize about that, but I wanted to get this to you guys. I know a lot of people don't know about some of the things we're working on. And so if you're new to the channel, this is good information and something I know that will help you guys, which is what we're all about. Okay, so let's look at some of these reviews we have tonight. The first thing I want to tell you guys and mention is it's something, I know you guys have seen me use this quote before if you've watched the channel, but it's a quote from Ansel Adams. And one of the things I love about it and why I like to put this up first before we go into review is because it clarifies the point that I think a lot of mistakes people make, and that is they really focus too much, no pun intended, on the gear and the photos and the lenses and what don't have a strong concept. If you are not telling a strong enough story, then what he's saying here is it's just a sharp image of a fuzzy concept. I mean, who cares? Who cares if it's sharp? Who cares if you're using ISO 100 or using the best Zeiss lenses or whatever? That has no bearing. If the image is not compelling, if it doesn't draw you in, then it doesn't really matter. And that's what Ansel Adams is trying to say here. So that's why this is a very important point I wanted to make here on this. Okay, so our first image tonight is by, let me get my notes here. I think I have them in front of me. Yeah, okay. Oops, wrong one. Here we go. This one here is, and again, if you guys are not familiar with the way we do this, this is you submit your images by going to Photo Mentor Academy/photo review, and you can submit your images there, and we'll bring them up and I'll do a review on them. The thing you're going to find about my reviews is that are different about, this is not about likes, not whether I like the image or not. I may tell you whether I like it or not, but it's more to do with, does the image work? Does it compelling? Does it draw you in? Does it work composition wise? Does it work using the 7 elements of design? And that's how I look at this, and that's the kind of feedback I give on these things. So this first one is by JK. Now JK's only been shooting about 1 to 2 years, so they're really new at this. And the idea behind this photo was they were just playing around trying to come up with some advertising or branding ideas, which I think is excellent on this kind of thing. It could use a little more punch, a little more. I don't really know what the product is. I assume it's a belt that they're trying to promote, and that's so. And again, the nice thing is though they've left some space up in some blank area there, so you could drop text in. The advertiser could drop text in, which is great because you're going to need that. Also, on the lower right, you could also drop some information, a logo or something in there if you wanted. So I think this is really well done. It's got it's got good lighting. It's got good lines. The lines that draw you in, again, the way it comes in from the bottom and goes up. It also, I think, has really nice color to it. So it draws, again, the colors are very muted but effective, and they're complementary. It's a kind of a monochrome kind of a look, but that's okay. And just very warm and appealing. So I think this is really, really a nice image. It also uses a lot of texture, which again is one of the elements in design and art. And it gives, you can see the texture both of the logo, of the belt, and of the wood that's underneath it. So again, very, very well done on this image. So I think this is a super image. I just think I'd love to see this in an ad. Love to see a designer take this and do something with it, put it in context. But I think you'd find this is certainly acceptable and an excellent job of doing product photography. So good job on this one, JK, so especially since you have only been shooting for a couple of years, 1 to 2 years. So nice job on that one. Okay, the next one, who doesn't like a pretty baby, right? A cute baby. So this one is by OT. OT's been shooting about 5 years, I think. And of course, like, I take that back. This is a mistake. This is not OT's photo. This is MD's photo. I've got these out of order. My bad here on this. Make sure I've got the right one. I know it's the right one. I just want to make sure it is in the right order. Okay, yeah. Yes, okay. So this one is yeah, this is MD's photo. She's been shooting about 5 years or so, and didn't get any information on this one as far as what they were trying to accomplish when they submitted it. Didn't fill this one out, but still, great little picture. Nice. I mean, I think the parents would probably love it. The orange a little bit on the left does bother me a little bit. It kind of draws your eye away from that, so you might want to remove that or be aware of that next time. The angle's a little odd, but I think for a child like this, it works great. And so yeah, nice picture, good color, nice lines. Again, even actually the line across the face here in the front and the blanket, the blue blanket, actually works because that gives the picture a little bit of depth, so it's not so flat looking. And so yeah, it's just the only thing that bothers me a little bit about it's that yellow blanket or whatever. It's a little distracting, but other than that, again, it's a small thing. Okay, so this one is also one from MD, and the challenges that they have, they say they're working on exposure, posing, and business, of course. Aren't we all having problems with posing, and also composition is also one we all struggle with. But anyway, um, this one, they're just trying to capture a beautiful moment of someone's life, which of course you've done. Now on this one, I'm not sure. You might want to, on this one, you might want to make some changes on, let me see here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay. So on this one, it's a little bit too much information, because it's very common for people to, not crop or not. So in other words, there's a couple, it's almost a vertical more so than a horizontal, although, so you could do something like this, which might make it a little stronger. Or the other thing you could do is you could crop. Now it's kind of tough because of the image. You don't want to crop it at the wrong location, but because then it looks kind of weird. But you could, something like that. That's not really a good crop now that I think about it for this one. Because it actually doesn't work for this because there are arms here like this. But you've got some potential here. But the thing is, I would suggest, unless the background is something that's really, really important, just watch that background. Also, the one thing you've done really well is you're shooting them below the eye line, which is nice because it makes her look stronger and more interesting. Whereas if you shoot down on her, it wouldn't. But you could also have her turn just a little bit more and do something kind of cool with her arms. Okay, because of the composition. But definitely, I would say crop it or something like that. Maybe watch it's cut off a little bit of the foot, but not too bad. But something like that might make it a little bit stronger image. Again, keep in mind that we're trying to tell the viewer where to look, right? That's the most important thing. So if you don't do that, then their eye wanders all over the frame and they get distracted or not interested or whatever. So there's a lot of things here. So unless that background is really something that plays a big part in the photo and that you've drawn their attention to that, then other than that, it can become a little bit distracting. So I would say the vertical crop would be the next thing to accomplish on something like that. Now, this one here, I didn't get this image. This was not submitted. This is one that I picked up. And the reason is I wanted to show it to you as because I thought it was a good training, a good lesson here on how this is working. So a couple things this picture has going for it. Number one, again, it's vertical, so that works. Okay, number two, the elements in the picture are also vertical. And so the phone cord hanging down works in this picture. The young lady on the left, the wall, all of that draws your attention immediately to the person. The next thing so the lines in the photo really work in this area. But the other one that really works, of course, is the color. And I think the color, both the contrasting colors, and really work with the phone, the color of the phone, the wall, and it's just a great image, I think. And so it's got a lot going for it. So keep in mind the color can play a very, very important part in your photo, and then also the shape. Whoops, not that one. This is, yeah, no, the space. I'm sorry. The space that they've got here with that over on the left-hand side of the frame where that post is really works, again, to draw your attention, her leaning against that. So this is a really, really nice and well-done photo. I saw somebody that actually thought they should crop out the phone on the right, but not in my opinion. I think the phone on the right adds to it. adds more interest to it. And again, there's definitely a story going on here, right? You want to know more. Want to know what's going on, who you're talking to, what's the story on the phone that's not on the receiver, that kind of thing. So, actually, I guess it is on the receiver now. Look at it. Sorry, I didn't see it from here. Yeah, it's the cords hanging down. So anyway, good photo, good job on this one. The other one, you know what? Let me see if we're photo. I have one more, and I realize it's not, I think, in my list for some reason. Let me see if I have it here in a different folder. I don't. Huh. And I can get this real quick if you guys will hang in there. Any questions, Sue Ann? Let's look over here. Hello, Heidi. How are you? And, oh. MD, thanks for joining us. Okay. All right, let me pull this photo up real quick. Sorry about this. I didn't realize I didn't have it here. And I want to make sure you guys, it's kind of a cute photo. I'll tell you about it here before. It was just a picture of her dog that they were that they had taken a photo of, and they were looking to improve and learn more pet photography. So let me see here. I think it was Andy's whoops, got a couple other photos here. Let me see if I can get these others in real quick. Can't find this other darn. Okay, here we go. I think it was this one right here. Yep. I don't know why I didn't get this. Okay. So this other photo, you know, pets are so tough because we love them so much, right? I mean, it's so easy for us to get attached to them. Let me see here. Okay. So here is the other photo. Yeah. Okay. So this photo was, it's on this one. Here we go. Sorry about that, guys. Was OT. OT's been shooting about 5 years, and they're working on their pet photography, and they saw this picture of the dog in the park, and they asked if they could shoot him for practice, which I think is a pretty cool idea. So the dog itself is cute, of course, as can be. He's got his ball there. He's happy. He's got his little scarf on. So not bad. My suggestion on this, I like it in black and white. I think it works in black and white. But the other thing I would have done is I would have tried to see if the owner would have gotten down next to the animal, next to the dog, and let you include them in the photo, because that would have added a little bit to it. Now, again, I know you're just practicing. It wasn't like they were hiring you or anything, so I can see why maybe the owner doesn't even want their picture taken. So that's possible. I could see that would be the case. But a great, it's a cute dog. Again, I think you got technically it looks good. I like the exposure on that kind of and so again, I think it works in black and white, maybe even more so than it would in color. So, and I see a couple I tell you what, I got a couple other photos here that just came in a little while ago. I don't normally do this because it really it makes it hard when I don't get these things on time. But because we're doing this tonight, probably didn't give you guys enough notice, so we'll wing it a little bit. I'll show you a couple of these others. Oh, this is a nice one. Okay. All right. So let me show you a couple more, and then I'll let you guys go. Okay. So here's the other one. This is a photo here that who submitted this one? Let me see here. This was submitted by LA. I don't know. Let me see how long LA's been shooting. About 5 years. And no details on the photo. But anyway, not bad. Again, it does have the elements where you're using lines in here. So the lines are drawing, but there's no, the only problem with it is no real point. There's no real, you're drawing the subject, but where to? So LA, you need to kind of look at that and figure, okay, what, so if there was a person at the end of the row, a couple, then that would be one thing, or a cannon or something like that. This looks like this might be, this actually might be in my neck of the woods. It looks like it could be in Manassas in Virginia, Civil War, or maybe Pennsylvania is possible. Anyway, you know, it's got some potential there. It's well done as far as technically, but it needs a little more story to it, would be my suggestion. So you can also, if you move a little more to the left and use that and get that line, the post of the a little closer, so you're really drawing the eye in. That could also work. So move around the subject a little bit more is the point. And I think you'd find that would probably work a little better for you. And then this one here is the other one they submitted, same person. And this is, you know, how can you go wrong with water, by the way? And also this little duck's got a fish. And but water and reflection is very, very nice. Again, keep in mind, let me kind of show you what this would look like here. Bring this up in my editor. I'll kind of show you another option you could do with this, LA, to kind of make it just a little bit stronger. And that would be to, so it's okay, you've got some white space over here on the right that you're moving into, but it also makes it look a little kind of like there, you know, it's chopping off the back of the frame, which is okay. It just depends on what you're trying to do. But you also could do something like this, which makes it a little stronger, because now you're kind of using the rule of thirds, but also you could bring it in just a little bit more here. There we go. And so now what you see is, now again, you're emphasizing the reflection, the fish, and I immediately go to the eyes of the duck and to the, and so this is a little stronger, I think, in this image in the composition, but it does have certainly a really nice color to it. And it certainly has a little, you know, the stronger, I think the lines are stronger when you do it this way, okay, because now my eye's not wandering around so much. And so yeah, it looks good. This is a good one though, so keep up on this one. And certainly a good capture. It's kind of hard to do, right? Harder than most people think. But so yeah, not bad on that one. That looks pretty good. So just be sure and crop it in a little bit. Don't, you know, one of the problems in photography is that we have to remember that we're telling a story. We're trying to tell, keep this in mind, we're trying to tell the viewer where we want them to look. We're trying to tell them what's the most important thing in this frame. So we only have a limited amount of space to work with, right? And the biggest mistake I think a lot of new photographers make is they include too much. So you can do both, shoot wide, shoot medium, shoot tight, and then see what goes on. But if you've got enough resolution, you can also shoot a little wider, but you definitely want to crop that in to be able to draw the attention to the viewer so they're not wandering around the frame. Now, there's not a lot to wander around here, of course, like I said, but, you know, I think it definitely makes it stronger when you just eliminate a little bit of it. And now you're using this line here at the bottom of the reflection to draw the viewer's eye and the one to the right, the right to the subject. Now, it's obviously what it is. I mean, you know, whether you do that or not, but it does make it much stronger because now there's no doubt where you want the person to look. So, anyway, let's see. Any other questions? I don't think so. Okay. So again, a couple reminders. Again, I would encourage you guys to be sure and sign up for the social media marketing for photographers, and that URL is in the chat if you're seeing that. But it's also photomentoracademy.com/social media, all one word, and that will get you to that page. You tell you a little bit about the course as well and the webinar. Again, it's going to be a free webinar we're going to be doing here next week or two, and I think you guys will really enjoy that. Sue Ann is just amazing and wealth of knowledge. In fact, I believe you'll be a little bit of, I don't want to scare you off, but I think you'll be drinking a little bit from a fire hose because she knows a lot about this stuff. And again, if you're interested in getting more information about what we're doing here, I encourage you to sign up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're interested in our Facebook group, again, I said before, you can go and apply. There's an application on photomentoracademy.com/Facebook. And also, if you would like, I think you'd also encourage you to sign up for the newsletter. I think you'll enjoy that as well. Okay, I think that's about it for this evening there. So, again, thank you guys very much, and I appreciate you joining us tonight. And again, check in with one of these resources we're giving you, and see you again at least next month, maybe next week. See ya.